Hey, this is Tim Kim with TM Media. I got basically, I've been looking through my inbox, my YouTube, and I got a pair of 15 to 20 emails I have to go through on comments and things like that. One of the comments was um, from a gentleman. It seemed like all his clients have some sort of problem, or they're just, all of them are very hard to deal with. Um, when I deal with a client, well, when you deal with clients in general, I think designers are like part designer, part psychologist, because, and that's why I titled this Designers Are Psychologists Too, because you literally have to walk them through the process and make sure, I mean, there's a lot of emotions going through this whole thing. And, bottom line, when we even design stuff, when you think about it, we're dealing with tapping into the emotions of getting people to buy things or getting them to do stuff with visual communication. So it should almost, after a while, it should be almost second nature to us to be able to deal with clients on just making sure they understand, addressing expectations. And I'm fairly blunt with clients. That's usually how I get through things. When you're dealing with every client, I would say the first thing I tell clients is be very blunt with me and direct, because I'm going to do the same thing with you. As far as establishing expectations and things like that, I tell people, bottom line, I can give you an estimate, but I really don't know what the heck I'm getting into until I get there. You could be some person that's going to sit there and make me edit the letter I 300 times, and we'd have to redo the estimate. So you got to be practical about this, and if you're dealing with a hard client, you have to try to avoid making that client a hard client, because like, for instance, when I'm doing a rough drafts and things like that, I tell the clients immediately, now, when we send you this rough draft, it's not done. It's just a rough. So don't pass it out to all your neighbors and your colleagues and throw it around the office and say, hey, what do you think of this? And they're going to come back and say, hey, that looks like crap. What, you paid, $1,000 for that, or $2,000, whatever it may be? Are you crazy? And of course, the client goes back or gets all this grief from their corporate execs or partners or friends or whoever, and you just kind of have to stay on top of it as best you can and make sure they know what to expect when you go through the process. And we fairly explain that, every client's different. I'm not going to say we have a standard process in place, but to avoid having a hard client. And when you have a hard client, you just have to deal with it the best you can and find out what is really bugging them, but also manage the project. Don't let them I'm not saying give in and just kiss their ass and do whatever they want for you. Manage the project. If they're going to make a decision that's going to screw up the project, or they're going to make one change that's going to have to, you're going to have to make 10 changes because of that. This is basically what I call client management, managing the client. I'll probably do a whole separate video on this. But don't let them sabotage your project. Another thing I see happen sometimes is when they pass out their designs to other people. Like, for instance, I'll have a client that, actually I have one currently that I don't think he's going to do it, but I've had clients in the past where they'll pass it out to friends and say, hey, what do you think about this color? And they'll come back and say, oh, I don't like this color, you should go with pink. And they're basing that decision just because they like the color pink. I mean, stupid stuff like that. And I've seen clients sabotage their own projects because of it. Because they're getting too much information. Then they get frustrated with a friend. Of course, they get frustrated with us, in which, bottom line, wasn't our problem to begin with. So that's basically why I say designers are psychologists, because you really need to keep in contact with the client and make sure you just be aware of what's going on and their emotions and all that stuff. I mean, but that's just the nature of the beast, and that comes with the territory. No one tells you that in school, but it does. Just going through an estimate sometimes, you have to anticipate what this client's thinking and how he values the project. Is he looking at it as just a sticker I'm going to slap on my label and it's going to get me by for the next 5 years, or is he thinking about that this could increase our sales, or this, and this has, there's a lot of value to invest in your design or branding, whatever it is. So there's just a lot of things to think about. I can sit here all day and talk about dealing with clients. And I'll send more specific videos on this, but hopefully that helps that gentleman out a little bit more. And because he was saying he gets a lot of hard clients, but it could be the way he's approaching it, or he could be just having a bad run. Because I've done it. There are clients where you can do everything in your possibility. And in fact, I had a client leave me about a year ago, and I sent him a card or something, or a file that we never sent him because he dropped out, but I sent it to him anyways because what are we gonna do with it? And he appreciated it and said thank you, and so So anyways, you're going to go through those speed bumps with clients, through projects. As you learn how to deal with people, you learn about red flags to look out for. Definitely. That's mainly what you'll learn is what red flags are going to screw up this project, or and that's one of them. Are they going to send this design to 300 people or their friends on Facebook or whatever it may be? That's one thing. If someone does that, I warn them. I say, hey, if you do this, just FYI, I've seen people sabotage their own project with this, or I've seen a project that cost this amount because it went from this amount to this amount because now we have to satisfy not one person but 10 people. Things to think about. So I hope that helps, and I hope this was informative. Thanks for listening. Oh, and like us on Facebook and Twitter. Do it.